Airstream. They'll probably do Knuckle. This might be the first time that's ever happened. Hey everyone, Bowerdad here, back with episode 12 of Why Did I Lose? The video series where I review my ranked game losses in order to do 3 things: honestly analyze my shortcomings, make better decisions, and inspire others to do the same. You'll notice on my opening here, my Incineroar is going to intimidate the Defiant Thundurus. This is on purpose. I'm very confident in my Defiant Thundurus lead. I always lead Regieleki and Incineroar. I will reflect in order to reduce the physical damage from the boosted Thundurus, and I will Burning Jealousy because 100% of the time they will Dynamax and do some sort of stat boosting move, and this time they don't. This time they don't do it. I was freaking out when this game happened live because this is literally the first time it's ever happened where my opponent got the Defiant boost off of my Incineroar and then did not Dynamax. Going into the second turn, I'm kind of at a loss for what to do, but I did get my Reflect up. So I go ahead and just throw a Thunder at the Thundurus to see if I can get some good damage on it. And I decided to Burning Jealousy again, thinking that, hey, my opponent could still Dynamax the Thundurus. They dodged this first Thunder, unfortunately. They Wild Charge into Regieleki, which I thought was an interesting choice, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. My opponent swaps in the Eternatus, gets a really good pivot out of that because Burning Jealousy doesn't really do a lot here unless they Dynamax, and now I'm in an awkward spot. At this point, we're 0 for 2 on Burning Jealousy. Regieleki has thrown a Wild Thunder that also missed. We're not looking super great. I decide that I'm going to attempt to Thunder again. Incineroar is going to U-turn and pivot out because I'm giving up on playing this Burning Jealousy mind game. I feel like the Thundurus could max at any moment, but it just hasn't. Until now. My opponent picks a great time to Dynamax. I pick a horrible time to switch out. Regieleki is going to miss its second Thunder in a row. And then Eternatus is going to bust out the Dynamax cannon. They're actually going to double up on Incineroar, as you're about to see here. It would have been a great turn to Burning Jealousy instead. However, at this point, it doesn't really matter because they're doubling into Incin. They are going to knock it out. And I'm going to have to put in something else. They get the speed boost. I decided that I want to put in Tornadus because I want to taunt the Eternatus. I want to make sure it doesn't do cosmic power shenanigans to get set up or anything. However, once I have Tornadus in play, I decide, hey, I should probably get my Tailwind set up because this Thundurus is about to pop off and I want to have something to stop it. I'll get the Tailwind up. Regieleki Thunders again. Thankfully, this time connects. Isn't enough to bring home the KO, unfortunately. Once again, my opponent is going to do a Dynamax Cannon Max Airstream onto the Tornadus slot and KO it. Dynamax Cannon does a good chunk by itself. Max Airstream is more than enough to pick this up, probably by itself, actually. So, I'm down to 2 Pokemon. My opponent still has all 4, and we're going to bring in my Kyogre. That's all we got. Thundurus has been going nuts against my team. However, this is my chance to put back some counter pressure. For the first time in the match, I have Rain, so thundering against Thundurus is not going to be a big deal this time. Thunder will be guaranteed to connect, and I decided that I'm going to go ahead and Water Spout with Kyogre. This, I think, is less important because the Eternatus is going to protect. I'm going to get that KO on the Thundurus with the Thunder, finally end its Rain, and that'll be it for that turn because that Water Spout isn't going to do anything. It'll get protected. So now the count's back to 3-2. We see Tornadus again, and I decide what better way to continue doing this than to just keep thundering things. So I check briefly for their Pokemon, who I think might be number 4 in my opponent's bench there. We're going to thunder the Tornadus. I get those genies mixed up. I'm going to thunder the Tornadus and go into Water Spout, mistakenly thinking that I am actually going to be faster in this case, when I'm definitely not, because Eternatus has a couple of Airstream boosts, and we know that this Tailwind is coming. So Dynamax Cannon is going to come out. Thankfully, it doesn't do a whole lot. It doesn't feel good, but we can deal with this. Thunder is going to bring this Torn down to Sash, and then the Water Spout is going to wrap it up. So at the end of this segment, the Pokemon count is back to 2-2, and I still haven't Dynamaxed yet. So it feels like we're in a pretty good spot. And then I see that my opponent is packing Clefairy. The Pokemon count is now 2-2, and I still have my Dynamax left. It looks and feels like I'm in a really solid spot. I decide that I'm going to focus down this Clefairy because that thing is annoying. I want it out of the way. It'll make it easier to deal with Eternatus. I decided Dynamax Kyogre. I think this could have been saved for a little bit. My opponent's going to double protect, so the fact that I did Dynamax means that I will get some damage through that protect, but it may have been better to stay small so that way I could do that spread damage, because the Dynamax Pokemon can only target one Pokemon at a time. And since Clefairy can redirect, that spread damage would be really good. My Regieleki, of course, their Thunder got blocked. So I decide, what better thing to do than to simply Thunder again for the 7th time this game. I'm going to Thunder again. This time I decided I'm going to Hail the Eternatus. I'm a bit tentative about my move choices here because I know that this, what the Clefairy is about to do, Helping Hand Dynamax Cannon will be enough to KO Kyogre, because the non-Helping Hand Dynamax Cannon did almost half of its health in the first place. And we're going to see that unfold just as I feared it would. I'm going to lose Kyogre. I still have Regieleki left, who's been dealing some good damage, but is not going to do enough with that Thunder, and on this very next turn is going to actually follow along with the same fate as Kyogre. He's going to get KO'd to that Dynamax Cannon, and that's where the game ends. All right, that concludes the game, but why did I lose? It looked relatively close for most of it. My opponent did get a really strong leg up in the beginning with that Defiant Thundurus, who Dynamaxed and just smacked 2 of my Pokemon immediately out of existence. I was able to get some good counter pressure and turn the tables back in my favor, but I did end up losing in the end. The reason why is because of Regieleki. Not because Regieleki is bad, not because Regieleki was an incorrect bring to this game, but because I did not use Regieleki correctly during this game. There are 2 connected reasons as to why I lost in regards to using Regieleki. First and foremost, I got way too eager throwing blind Thunders. Every Thunder that I did before the rain came out, I just shouldn't have done it. I just shouldn't have done it. I went 1 for 3 on them, and it was just bad. There were so many wasted turns. My opponent was able to really take advantage of it because my Regieleki was effectively not doing anything for that section of the game. Secondly, I immediately set up Reflect, and then I cast Thunder over and over and over and over and over again until I lost the game. At no point did I ever consider using Light Screen, which would have been fantastic. I was fully ready to set the Reflect in order to mitigate the physical damage, but the big damage dealer from my opponent was not Thundurus. It was actually Eternatus, who uses that specially damaging Dynamax Cannon. If I had set up the Light Screen, that could have been paying dividends for 4, 5, 6 turns, but instead, silly me, I just had to do Thunder over and over and over again until I almost ran out of uses for it. So there you have it. Regieleki is great. I'm just a scrub, though. And that is episode 12 of Why Did I Lose? I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you like this series, if you would like to see more of this content, you can like the video. You could also subscribe to the channel. Both of those things would really help me out. I would appreciate both of them very much. Last but certainly not the least, if you would be interested in seeing any of these games live, I do win games sometimes as well. I stream on Thursdays, every Thursday evening at 8:30 p.m. Central Time over at twitch.tv/BauerDad. And I have some other social channels if you would like to connect with me in those places as well. Until next time, I hope you all have a fantastic week.